ध्वनिर्वर्णापदं वाक्यमित्यास्पदचतुष्टयम् यस्याः सूक्ष्मादिभेदे वाग्देवीं तामुपास्महे।
संस्कृति और मूल्य।
Electronic Media Production and Research Center (EMPRC) of Madhya Pradesh Bhoj Open University presents its audio lecture series Culture and Value. Friends, in this audio series we present audio lectures of eminent scholars related to culture and value. Today, we are going to present the audio lecture of Professor Manas Mukul Das. The topic of his lecture is Culture as Possibilities. This program is recorded, edited and presented by Amar Bahadur Yadav. So let's listen to the audio program Culture as Possibilities.
Culture as possibility. I have not been interested in looking at culture or cultures as results of historical processes, accumulations of time, constructions of the mind. My interest is in a culture which is the power for the transformation of man and society, which is perhaps a utopian dream for the establishment of one world in the future. I should like to look upon culture as that energy which refines, clarifies, hones, makes profound, makes beautiful, makes compassionate the consciousness of mankind, not merely of a particular people and its expression, and also the refinement of its expression in language, thought, and action, above all in action, in art, religion, philosophy, law, politics, and education. I should like to look upon culture as sap in the tree of civilization. Without the sap, civilizations are only withered stumps of time. I should like to look upon value as absolute truth, which does not need anyone's help to defend it, because it is the source from which energy flows, the ground from which the sap rises. It does not need anyone's protection. The earth did not need the Pope's blessings to go round the sun. If we have any relationship with truth, any need for it, it is for our own protection. It is in this sense that I see the statement, Dharma protected protects, destroyed destroys. The profoundest cultures of the past have been cultures which had striven to understand the ground, the source, the value of values, as logos, as rith, as the law of being. This is what every great religion in the world tried to do. They tried to understand how the human mind can open to the infinite and bear witness to the truth, can be a sakshi. They have all glorified at least one human being who became a mirror to the truth and existentially authenticated its existence, who could from upon the cross say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, who could be the medium for a revelation. Tell them, O Prophet, that everything on earth shall pass away, that even you shall pass away, but forever will abide the countenance of the Lord, full of magnificence and splendor. Or who could thunder to the world, Srinnantu Vishve Amritasya Putra Ayadhamani Divyani Tastu Vedahamedam Purushamahantam Adityavarnam Tamasaparastat Tvameva Viditya Timratyumedi Nanyahapantha Vidyate Ayanai Nanyahapantha Vidyate Ayanai. There is a remarkable similarity, rather complete identity, in what all great religions have discovered about the nature of the human mind. Where the self is, the other is not. The immeasurable, the absolute truth, the perfectly beautiful, the Ar-Rahman, the grace abounding, the Vishwaroop, floods in when the self stands annihilated, crucified, crushed under the foot of Nataraj, totally surrendered, which is the meaning of the word Muslim in Arabic. There is no need here to go into the details of texts and symbols and icons and rituals that lie embedded in the core of all religions, repeatedly saying just this. What does a culture cognize as value may be a significant question. In every act of cognition, there is a field that is cognized and a mind that cognizes. The scientific civilization of the 20th century gave primacy to the field that is known, not the mind that knows, to the noema, not the noesis. The practice of science is not value-free. The modern scientific civilization would not have been possible without a scientific culture grounded in certain values: doubt, questioning, rationality, objectivity, not taking emotional refuge in any comforting belief, recording evidence with meticulous care and absolute honesty. From out of such values evolved a scientific culture which, focusing its attention on noema, evolved a scientific civilization, discovered the laws of nature, and invented the wonders of technology. But science did not concern itself with the mind of the knower, with what is required for the human consciousness to enable it to hold the infinite. Mathematics talked about zero and infinity, but science confined itself to the in-between with the world of the measurable. It never said, only a mind that is zero can hold the God that is infinite. That might have brought it at par with the self-noting of all religious cultures. That would have made it establish a profound culture, drawing its sap from the ground, its energy from the source, which is the value of values, the all-pervading logos that operates through the noema and the noesis. It is surprising to me that 20th century science never uncovered this ground, because the great scientists, like the great seer poets, could not have created except in a state of meditation, out of an unconditioned, impersonal, anonymous, self-noted mind. But somehow scientists never introspected in order to see the operation of the law that empowered him to create. He went on discovering instead the laws of the atomic and subatomic worlds, of the DNA, and out of the application of his discoveries produced the marvels of a technological civilization. Technology was the extension of human organs: the eyes, the ears, the hands, the feet. In the 20th century, science for the first time created a machine which was an extension of the human brain. Today, the computer performs a majority of the functions of the brain much more efficiently and on a grander scale. It can perform never before imagined permutations and combinations within the entire field of accumulated data, the field of the known. What will be the impact of its performance on future civilization, on generations to come? The process of evolution has shown that organs which are left unused atrophy and decay, sometimes disappear. Man doesn't need a tail. In the human alimentary canal, the appendix is a 6-inch stub. Will the brain atrophy? Is science reaching an impasse where its functions imperil the brain of millions in the coming generation? Does it have to do a complete about turn, turning the focus of its attention from the noema to the noesis? It might have to learn from the religious cultures of the world. Perhaps from them it might have to learn that creativity is born in the silence of the mind where no self stirs. One of the very significant questions: what constitutes culture and how is it communicated? It is the energy of the shared common mind of mankind, maybe of much more, that constitutes culture. Civilization is the shell. Culture is the pervasive mind in that shell. How is it communicated? The entire education system in the world today, from the Ivy League universities of America to the village panchayat schools of India, is geared up in different ways for stuffing information and know-how into brains. Do we not need a completely different education which will be in total revolt against such a system? For 38 years, I taught in a university. During the last years of my stay there, one nondescript young man came out of one of my classrooms, came to my residence and started a dialogue with me. Every morning for more than a month in the summer vacation, just before my retirement from the university, we would walk together upstairs to my study and talk and be silent for hours. The vision of a very different school was forming in the matrix of that dialogue. We received an invitation to experiment in a village school for 9 months. The next part will be a description of the experience of the new school. That school was the cutting edge of culture, for education and politics are expressions of culture in action, as the arts are its expression in language, philosophy in thought, law in thought and action, and religion in all three: language, thought, and action. From August 2002 to May 2003, on a patch of ground shaded by 2 jackfruit trees in the village of Sarai Mohana, as the Honorary Director of the Rural Education Program of the Krishnamurti Foundation, India at Varanasi, I was witness to a most extraordinary experiment in holistic education, which subsequently shifted its location. The experiment was conducted by Akash, helped by half a dozen young graduate and undergraduate students of the University of Allahabad. Akash had been my student in the university and says he learned from me, but the fact is, it is I who has learned from him and is still learning. We had often met before and we had wondered, how would society change? Why is there violence and hatred in society? Where has education gone wrong? Why have we allowed society to impose its ways upon its school? Must a school mirror in miniature all that goes on in society? The competition, the rivalry, the desire to be ahead of others, the jealousy, the envy, the anger, the frustration, the killer instinct, the sense of injury, the sycophancy, the intrigue, the manipulations? Or could there be an altogether different school? A school that would uproot it all and end it? A school in total revolt, bringing a deep transformation in the mind of humanity? Can a school establish upon its grounds an altogether different life, an altogether different order of relationships at work, of love and caring, of creativity and non-combative excellence, born in the energy of a free and silent mind? Can a school be the East that will ferment social transformation? When invited by the Krishnamurti Foundation one August morning, 7 of us were walking into its village school compound. Little Anita, whom we had met before, was walking out of the gate. We stopped by her and asked, "Anita, won't you come to school?" The girl hid her face and started sobbing. "I shall not go to school. I have failed." In the school, the assistant director informed us, "This year, we have conducted the exams very fairly. and out of 400 students, we have detained 160 who have failed in 4 subjects or more. Only 5 or 6 girls had passed in all the subjects, and not a single boy. Anita, sobbing at the gate, returned like a ghost to haunt our mind. And around her, other shadowy figures, their faces hidden, blurred, unseen, gathered, sobbing. Branded failures, these were the looked down upon, the insulted and injured, the psychologically traumatized. On the school tree, they were dead wood. In a future society, they would be the unwanted, discontented waste, the social effluent, the human resource that could not be developed, the raw material for crime. We were wondering, why should any child fail in a school? Can't there be a school where no child would fail, where every child would learn upwards from the level at which she was in whatever subject? The idea was not acceptable to the teachers of the school where we came. As honorary director, I initiated a dialogue between the 18 teachers of the older school and the handful who had come with me. Even after a week, behind grudging acceptance, I sensed non-cooperation and insurmountable resistance. A way out could be to let the old guard teach the children who had been promoted and the new ones teach those who had failed. So under a jackfruit tree, on a small separate portion of the school ground, around the middle of August 2002, a handful of teachers and some 100-odd boys and girls came together, and a school came to life from out of the dead wood of an older school tree. No child is a failure. The school under the jackfruit tree took them all under its care. Every member of the school, teacher or child, would care for every other. The school would be like home. The experiment in holistic education was a learning experience for those who participated and those who witnessed. The experiment focused on the complete development of the mind, the nurturing not only of the intellect and the emotions, but also of the creative faculty of the brain. The intellect is that faculty which understands what is already known. The intellect is that faculty which understands what is already known. A school child understands the laws discovered by Newton. The creative faculty receives from the unknown. The creative brain is an original brain, not a peddler of second-hand information. Instead of stuffing the mind of a child with information and know-how, Akash's group related with the children and took them along on the path of listening and watching with complete attunement rather, observing whatever was around, whatever was being studied, and whatever was going on in the mind as the mind related with what it was watching or studying or going through. The children began perhaps by listening and dancing to music, then listening silently, choicelessly to all sounds. They engaged in self-study, in dialogue, and in teaching each other. They lost their timidity, and the boundary between teacher and student crumbled. The school was like one family, where teacher and students lived and learnt about important things like arithmetic, reading and writing, and more importantly, about relationship and responsibility and caring, and about the silent cave of the mind, where compassion, creativity, and other beautiful things dwell. And the learning was at the level of being. The children named the school Apna Vidyalaya, our own school. We called the children dancers in the sky. The place acquired a mind, which Akash called the common brain of the whole school. The questions that were asked, the insights that were born in anyone's mind, floated in the common brain, energized the atmosphere, and that atmosphere, created by minds meeting in worded or wordless dialogue, was the school. And the school was ensouled. Was that school within us or outside us? In the mysterious, sacred space of that school, wherever it exists, for it still does, many questions were born or tumbling, articulated in the older minds, left inarticulate but felt by the younger. These were the questions. Can there be a school where the children and teachers care for all creatures, where in the silence of the mind they relate to all things, where silently they listen to all sounds, to all movements, to all being, the sound of falling leaves, of distant birds, of wings beating the air, of the drizzle, the rain and rivers, of markets, of laughter and anger, of flame rising from the funeral pyre, of wood and bone crackling. Can they listen to all sounds and to the sound of silence? Can they dissolve in the silence and only listen? Listen to unrecorded sounds, to sounds left unrecognized by the listener? Can the listener die in the listening? Can they see an ant crawling on a flower, perish in the seeing, become the seeing? Can they dance and become the dancing, and the still point at the center of the dance? Can there be a school that will teach relationship with birds, with plants and animals, with rocks and trees, with the hungry, poor and ill, with the old and destitute, with everything? Where is creativity born? Is it born when the self with its worries and anxieties and ambitions goes to sleep and the mind is left silent and fallow? But silence cannot be ordered. It doesn't come through discipline. It has to come of itself, uninvited. Does it come through deep listening and watching? For the ground and premise to be returned to the original school, for the bubble to burst in the blue sky. The dreams didn't die. The children and the teachers parted with the resolve. The school is wherever we are. Their links didn't break. Their resolve did not waver. For all the children and all the teachers had become one family, a family of dreamers, dancers in the sky, who had actualized a dream in miniature and continued to dream of expanding to birds. One larger global family where there would be no hatred, no competition, where there would be no hatred, no competition, no rat race, no killer instinct, where there would be only love and caring, joy and creativity, relationship and responsibility, silence and dance. 6 months later, the children of the school invited the teachers back, though not to the same ground, yet back to the village of Sarai Mona and 4 adjoining villages to set up little parliaments governing little democracies of children and of adults in whom the child had not died.
You were listening to the audio program series Culture and Value. You have just heard the audio lecture on the topic Culture as Possibilities. The subject expert and speaker was Professor Manas Mukul Das. The announcer was Dr. Kaushal Sharma. The program was recorded, edited and presented by Amar Bahadur Yadav. This audio program was produced by Electronic Media Production and Research Center, EMPRC of Madhya Pradesh Bhoj Open University.